In our Gita, they say that focus on the effort and not on the outcome. Do you think in an entrepreneur's life that has relevance?
That you can only try your best, and if the result is not coming, then perhaps you try try more differently, but never give up. I think a subconscious message has been that there's no point in giving up. If you try, something works out.
So, Amit, welcome to the show. And this show is more about the journey, the inner journey of an entrepreneur. Right? People would have read about your success or read about what's happening in the funding or how you have grown. Those are like the outcomes of a lot of distance you have traveled within yourself. Ultimately, an entrepreneur is more like a gladiator, right? You're fighting in the arena. You never know what's coming in front. And so far in my conversations with founders, being one myself, there have been, right from childhood, there would have been so many instances which would have driven you to think, act, and decide the way you did or you are doing. And the outcome of all those experiences and decision rules in your mind is your venture, right? Is your vision. So today's conversation is about what has happened inside you, what has been the journey you have traveled from your childhood to now, capturing some of those critical moments in life. It could be as simple as your first girlfriend saying no, and then what all you tried to do to make her accept. But in that bargain, you would have built in resilience. You would have taken up that, okay, I can't take no for an answer. I'll try. I'm just giving you instances.
Yeah.
Right. So all those things. But if we can look at 3-4 pivotal moments in your life, in your journey, and the intent is for people who are listening to this, right? Many a times when you're going through lows in life, why me comes a question.
Correct.
But the real wisdom is about you are the chosen few to be going through what you are going through, especially when you are in your lowest moments, right? I think that's the uh, that's a success for this, and if we are able to derive some universal truths or principles in that process, more than happy to learn from you. So, friends, here we have Amit, the founder of NoBroker. I've been a user of NoBroker as well in the past, and when you originally came up, it was so radical. It was absolutely radical. So anything rebellious or revolutionary uh, must have a very deep scar beneath, or a deep drive beneath. So
Yeah.
let's start off, Amit, about your life. If you can take us through, how was your childhood? And
So thank
what were one or two moments in life in your childhood which you still remember, and which have had a telling impact?
Thank you so much for having me, Devakar. And in fact, the point which you mentioned about either chasing a girl to say yes uh, is is what I have also. So when I interview people, this is the exact example which I have given them, saying I am looking for such an example from you. And the way in which I basically look for people is in that, say, when you are doing things, for example, you are trying to learn music and you are trying to play a sport. Now, these activities are done for the passion of the activity. And when you are doing those activities, you have no idea whether you will succeed, to what extent you will succeed, where it will lead you to. You have no idea. You are doing it because as a person, you are a fighter and you want to improve, you want to become better at something. And similarly with you trying to chase the love of your life. So I also firmly believe that people are either very passionate in general, they are fighter in general, or they are not. And the objective for an entrepreneur and for his team is to basically go and collect such people and then make a team who works together.
Yes, Amit. So you decided to go to IIT, and despite your parents I wouldn't use the word pressure, but their inclination was for you to become a civil servant, right? And the reason you chose because you were successful academically,
Yeah,
and we didn't have enough options in India at that time. You study well, you get into IIT or IIM. That's a given.
correct.
Now, how was your IIT experience? What was the most challenging moment for you in IIT? Because you come as someone who was a conqueror in your own little kingdom, and here you get into an ocean, right? So how did that feel?
No, so you have absolutely guessed it correct. So being a topper of your basic district or your school was one thing, but the first semester I think was extremely difficult for me for IIT, and because first of all everybody there was smart. So suddenly
Exactly.
you have this baselining that you are ordinary to the best.
Yes, yes, yes.
So there is a huge I would say adjustment that you need to, and calibration that you need to do. Everybody is so smart, everybody is a topper, and you realize there are hundreds of people who are ahead of you in terms of your JE rank, and the professors are very bright, and the moment you start discovering that you have lost one or two lecture and now you're not able to cope up, so that's a feeling that I basically got after many years, that I'm not able to catch up with what the professor is teaching. So I think the first semester was very stressful, mixed with being homesick because first time away from home,
Hmm.
and little bit
So
of ragging from professor.
what was the lowest point?
So the lowest point was when I got my grades of the first semester, and it was 6 out of 10. So
Oof.
I
Like your
think
sixth standard, 52 percentile. Ha, ha, ha.
yeah, so I think it was a, and here I was, and this was not because I was chilling. This was when I was every day I was in the library, studying late in the night. I did not enjoy at all for those first few months. Really, basically pushing hard, and then you, and there were I think an instance where I was very close to getting some F in a course, and then I basically had to hurry and figure out some way, take help from other peers, and get a passing grade. So I think there was a huge shock as well as sadness all combined in the first semester. Yeah.
So I want to spend time on that, Amit. Now, here was some time for 6 months. You worked very hard, but you did not get your result. So what kept you going at that time?
I think over the years, what has been ingrained is that you can only try your best.
Hmm.
And if the result is not coming, then perhaps you try more differently, but
Hmm.
never give up.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
Because over the years, I think a subconscious message has been that there's no point in giving up. If you try it, something works out.
Got it.
Because yeah. So I think the subconscious message was that if things are not working, you have to try more, you have to try harder. And because in the past life had eventually rewarded you for your efforts, so the
Ha, ha,
thought that
ha.
it's a give up thing never occurred. But yes, of course, it was stress, it was sadness, and it was bewilderment as to why things which used to work earlier are not working now this time.
Ha,
So
ha,
all of that
ha.
was surely there.
But if I mean, in our Gita, they say that focus on the effort and not on the outcome. Do you think in an entrepreneur's life that has relevance?
I think that is a very, very high relevance
Yeah.
because of the added factor that in entrepreneurship there is so much of luck. So right now you and me are sitting here as an entrepreneur, but perhaps out there are many, many more qualified people who would be in our place
True.
today.
True. True.
So there's a factor of luck also. So between the input and output, I think entrepreneurship there's even more factors involved. Studies, I think, is still much more controlled environment.
Ha, ha, ha. Get it. Get it. So beyond the 6 months, what happened? Was it similar to your sixth standard after that?
So I think after 6 months, the feeling of acceptance came
Hmm.
that whatever I am doing is not working out.
Hmm.
So stress shifted. The stress thing shifted to acceptance.
that okay, this is how it is. I'm already at a very bad situation, and now let's basically accept it, mingle more with people, figure out what is happening. So instead of
Mm-hmm.
trying to fight the system, you basically try to understand the system, because my approach is
Brilliant.
surely not working. So you
Ha.
understand the system, you understand, you talk more with seniors for whom things have worked out. You talk more with peers, because it seemed that there are many peers who are working much, much less harder than me, but getting far better results. So what is their secret? And I had today I am a tech entrepreneur, but when I joined college, I had never seen a computer. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember when I went to the computer lab, the screen was blank and I had no idea how to switch on the screen. How do you make the
Mm-hmm.
screen live? So but then I figured out that there were many people in my same scenario coming from remote areas of Bihar, but they were so sharp and their sense of logic was so astute that they were
Mm-hmm.
doing amazing in the first semester in computer science course, and which basically
Mm-hmm.
leads you to believe that there is a way out. So
Ha.
there's no structural issue here, and you just need to figure out how the system works, mingle more rather than basically fighting alone, and taking asking for help, and basically both from peers as well as seniors. Then there is, because I was not used to asking for help. When you are studying in class 9, 10, 11, 12, it is all you, right? You are trying to beat others. So there's a very strong competitive spirit also, that why should I
Correct.
ask for help, because I need to beat that guy.
Exactly. 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 Exactly.
I think that switch happened, that hey, now you already lost the battle. So
Ha.
first semester is gone, you are at the bottom of the rung. So there's no point in competing. It basically makes sense to understand and accept that you are behind others. So accept it with humility and then figure out.
Brilliant. So, if I were to just pick up some of what you said, uh, you realized collaboration is better than competition when you got into
Yes.
IIT. And one very powerful thing you said was don't fight the system, understand the system. I mean, especially for an entrepreneur, that's so true, right? Knowing the law of the land and the rules of the game. Now, when you were trying to fight the system, what were you actually trying to fight? Is it the system
I
or
think
is it
I think perhaps I was enforcing my preconceived notion of how I
exactly?
should crack it versus what it really worked. So I think it was
You were
not the
fighting your
system, but
own
my
beliefs, right?
bias of the system. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Brilliant. Yes. So you were fighting your biases
Because
on
there
how
was
the
a way in
system
which
should
I
work.
was able to succeed in studies till then. And that way was
Uh-huh.
no longer working, right? So because so I think, yeah, so first semester took some shattering of that. And then you have to learn a new way of how you get good grades in IIT. Because the system,
Hmm.
the method of just doing what worked in 11th and 12th was not working, because
Hmm.
I realized that instead of going to library and finding out some books about the topic which has been taught to you is not beneficial. What is more beneficial is focus much more in the class lecture itself, because in the first
Hmm.
semester many of those subjects are very different. For example, physics, chemistry, maths, extremely different for what you have studied for JE. Maths
Hmm.
completely changes its color.
Hmm.
So, and you are figuring out, and the figuring out process is much more collaborative. It helps to be
Hmm.
collaborative. You ask what you have not understood from your peers rather than going to a library. So I was not
Hmm.
used to asking from my friends because they were not sharper than me. But here, this
Exactly.
recalibration, that your friends are sharper than you, so you better go and
Ah,
ask them for help.
nice, 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 nice. Brilliant. Then what happened to the remaining part of your IIT life? Once you've
So
got this
I
reconciliation.
Yeah, so I think the second semester was for acceptance and for figuring out, okay, now what should be done. The grade slightly improved, and then the first year was over. And I think by second year, I had gotten the hang of it, that there are some basic, what are the basic principles, that you super high focus in classes, and don't let the work collect, and don't be. So I think those two three basic things which happens.
You
But
got the rules to succeed in the game.
yes, yes, yes. And I also understood that I need to, that there are so many subjects and there are smarter people all around, ask for help. So in that thing, I think my approach completely changed. So I don't remember asking for anybody's help till I was pre JE. But post JE in IIT, I think I liberally asked for help before exams, during the semester, and I figured out who are the smart people in each of them. And you will be surprised. And even, in fact, I was surprised, as I was saying earlier, people from remote areas of Bihar and UP with no coaching, and I think they were the brightest people that I have ever met in my life. The basic concepts were mind blowing. So it's so much
Mm.
of intellect in Indian hinterlands that it's amazing. So I think
Mm.
those guys became one of my closest friends. Did not know how to speak English, did not wear fancy clothes, came from poor family, but extremely bright. So I think that discovery was
So,
amazing.
is there when you were young, Amit? I'm just trying to go back to your childhood belief systems. Was it considered shameful to ask for help with
No,
peers?
I don't think so. But I think the approach was more about competition rather than collaboration.
So the hesitancy came from the fact you thought you looked at your peer as a competitor,
Yes.
and you didn't want to expose your weakness to your competitor.
More than that, I basically was habitual of studying on my own and not asking for help because I never needed any help. And it had worked fine.
Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. Nice, nice, very nice. So then you finished your IIT. So what happened?
Yeah. So by the time I finished IIT, so after the first year, the second year improved, and then by the third year, I was in basically, I think, full form. And by the end of the fourth year, I was my branch topper. So
Nice,
from being a 6.1, I was the rank one in my branch.
lovely, lovely. 6.1 to rank one. Nice. So that's and all this happened because you understood the rules of the game.
And then I think I did something again, which was more about following the herd rather than thinking originally. So decision to basically do IIT was more about where all the smart people go who don't want to go to government service. And I think I fell into the same trap when I was became a class engineering topper in my branch. So all the top guys used to give GRE and used to go abroad
Ah,
for masters.
yes.
So that was almost a set tradition in, especially in IIT Kanpur at that point of time. That top guys go to do MS and go outside, and rest of the guys basically work, find jobs, and some of them then basically pursue other things. So I think I did not think much whether I really want to do research work. I just
Mm,
basically,
mm.
the moment I started getting good grades, my mind automatically looked towards what is the next big challenge, which is out
Ah,
there. And the next big challenge was this.
ah,
So I think
got
the
it.
mind always looks for what is the most difficult thing to crack now. So, so I basically gave JRE. I basically did many MTech related courses in in IIT Kanpur because you need to do that to showcase your interest in the subject. And so I did that, and I got into US University.
Hmm.
And when
Wh- uh,
I went
Where did
to
you
the
go in the US?
I think the offer was from multiple universities. My focus was on environmental engineering. I'm forgetting the name
Okay.
of the university, but I got acceptance from multiple
Okay.
colleges. And then the time came to basically get the visa.
Hmm.
So imagine a scene that me and my parents are standing in a queue, which is outside the US consulate for the student visa. And while standing in the queue, and by the way, the background is that my parents never wanted me to go to US because they
Got it.
felt that if
Okay.
I go to US, the boy is gone, and then
Ha,
basically,
ha,
so
ha,
they had
ha.
no charm. They from a civil services background, they were pretty happy with India, so they were reluctant, but they saw the interest and hence they agreed. So while I was standing in the line, the thought hit me that do I really want to do research? Why am I going? And I felt that I really don't want to do research. I basically I'm happy doing job and doing something else, but research I did all of this because everybody else was doing it. But can I visualize
Hmm.
myself? So I think I'm more of a personality wise, I'm more of a person who likes to solve problems and then move to the next problem. But the research focus requires you to take one problem, keep on attacking that problem in deep for years. And I felt that I am not that person. I will get bored very quickly. And in that, standing in that line, I asked my father that should I really go? And he was waiting for such a moment. And he said, of course
Ah,
not. There
okay.
is no need to go. And I'm like, hey, we have come all the way to Delhi. And he'll say, oh, come on, let's watch a movie. So with all the documents and the file folder in my hand, we came out of the queue
Wow. Wow.
and
That
skipped
was
the
the
US.
decision you made. Yes. 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 Lovely. And what was your other alternative? You didn't want this challenge, but did you have any other challenge, or you just said, I didn't want this?
No, so then I had to basically rethink as to what now needs to be done. I had gotten a job in Cognizant, so that job offer was anyway with me because as a part of IITK passing out, so that job offer was with me. So I took that. So I knew that I had to do that job. So I took that job, and I thought that let me figure it out later as to what I would want to do. There was some thought about doing an MBA, but I think it got
But I mean,
basically
just
more
going
matured.
back, so but you were clear on what you did not want to do.
Yes.
Got it. Got it. Makes sense. Okay. Yes. Then getting back to your MBA
Yeah. So
decision.
then I think so. Then what I did was I basically joined Cognizant, which was a typically good IT services company. And I think in the next few days, I discovered that again, I think this constant thing is always there. That what is the next most difficult thing to do?
Mm.
And then once you do that most difficult thing, I think my first attraction is towards what is a challenging thing to do. And it has happened like this US thing that once you get it, then you realize whether you want to do it or not. But I think the challenge always attracts me as to what is it which
Mm.
is most difficult to get. Uh, so so an IT was basically available for everybody. There was no specific challenge per se which others can't do it and you are someone special. And I also figured out that I like coding to some extent. I like the problem solving part of it, but will it keep me up in the night for excitement? No. So I realized that, yeah, that's not something which I am very passionate about. So I knew that this is not what I would want to do. Now, the next best option was that to basically think about MBA. And I basically intuitively felt, without any data point, that something to do with business will interest me more than sitting in front of a computer and coding.
Mm. 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 Wow. Nice. Then how did that journey start? The
So
GMAT, and I
then
mean,
I prepared for CAT,
CAT.
and
Huh?
of course there was huge amount of competition to get into IIMs. All the top rankers of so now you are part of one IIT, but when you prepare for CAT, everybody from all the IITs basically compete
Uh,
for it. So it was that way the competition becomes even more tougher. Thankfully, I was able to do well there. IIM Ahmedabad accepts used to accept 90 people out of the entire country in general category and 180 in total. And somehow I think the luck shined and I got into those top 90. I did not believe it, but yeah, somehow.
uh, nice. And so, if you were to say that your most challenging moment from your IIT to IIM, one looks like the decision to walk out standing in that line. That's a very very I mean, today when you in hindsight, that's a probably one of the most pivotal decisions in your life.
Yeah.
And in your IIT life, what else would you think? In your IIM life, I'm sorry. What else you think was more was your lowest point or the most chaotic point?
So that basically, I'll have to digress a little bit to my personal life to
Please,
explain
they're
that.
all intertwined, right?
So I basically was I got very close to my IIT Kanpur batchmate, my own branch, uh, who so Priyanka, who was basically my branchmate in IIT Kanpur, she was my best friend in IIT when we were in IIT, and when she also got a job, luckily in Pune, while I was working there in Cognizant, and then we became very close. But both of us were basically are from different castes. So when basically the point came to take this forward, both of our families were pretty against it. And so the IM era unfortunately coincided with that period where both the parents wanted us to stop seeing each other, while my objective was to get to go to Pune from Ahmedabad
Uh,
without any reservation in the train to somehow meet her and keep her
uh,
convinced
uh, but
because
you're
she
still
was
in the
being
race.
yeah, because she was being pulled in other direction, and I had thought that me getting into IM will get me more brownie points with her family, but unfortunately, that meant 2 more years of delay for marriage.
Mm.
And being an IIT, she was anyway getting guys from
Yes,
who are IIT plus
yes.
IIM, so that was not a big deal. So I think those the low points in IIM were basically the struggle, and my grades dropped. And I think to this day, sometimes it basically pains because then again I had basically built my grades, and then asking for help after missing assignments from my fellow batchmates was very humbling, because I knew that it is not about competence, it is just about the fact that I'm not giving time.
Yes, you were distracted at that moment, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And because I had to have these long phone calls
Correct. I can
to keep
imagine.
the
Yes,
relationship
yes.
going. And she was also under a lot of stress because her parents forbid her to see
Ha
me and so
ha
on and so
ha
forth.
ha
So,
ha.
so I think so. Grades suffered. They were still respectable, but not where I wanted. So I think in terms of the low point, it was more about
Yes,
that sadness.
yes. Balancing romance with education. So, how did it end?
We got married. We have 2 kids
Oh,
now.
congratulations.
And I think out of all the things that has happened in my life, as you can guess, it was the best thing.
I can imagine that.
Everything.
Yes, yes, yes. Lovely, lovely. And what did you do after I?
After I am.
Yes.
So I think, so after I am, I had zero idea about what type of job will interest me. I had done some marketing courses, but marketing was not something which attracted me. IT, anyway, I had left. Finance seemed interesting, but Ahmedabad is such a challenging place. Those the first year was so tough that I think it's difficult to imagine. It was difficult to imagine that how can you sleep for 4 to 6 hours for entire 1 year. So I think they are very
Yes.
brutal. Ahmedabad is very brutal.
But
So
Amit, some of what you said, see, today this could be a fairly common point where you're saying, I didn't like marketing, finance was. But in those eras, right, you're saying like early 2000s, uh, we were not even trained to look at what was exciting, or we were just trained to accept what was coming our way, right? So I still remember in my Citibank days, I had I am MBA selling home loans. Used to wonder like, what are you guys doing here? Right. I mean, he would have done something in finance, but he'll be selling a home. So was it a DNA which you consistently had, that you will do what you wanted to do?
I think so. I would not say that I was bright enough or knowledgeable enough to know always what I want to do. I think often it has happened is that I chose the most challenging path and then
Yes,
decided after cracking that challenge whether I want it or not, or what
got it.
part of it I wanted.
So for you, difficulty is excitement.
Yeah.
And then
And then,
decision comes after that.
yeah, so seems very weird, but that is
No, no,
the.
no. I mean, it's a common entrepreneurial trait. Yes, yes, yes.
So I think so. I basically figured out that okay, marketing is not that exciting. IT have come, I have already left. Finance seems a bit interesting, but IIM Ahmedabad makes it such a tough thing that you are scared of finance. So I tried for finance, and then it was okay. What options are available? Then you again go to what everybody wants, and what everybody wanted was iBanking and consulting. So because it pays the best,
Yes,
right? So then you
yes.
you just start liking what is paying the best, what everybody is asking, what is coming for day zero. iBanking, I remember basically giving interview. I was very close to getting a summer internship abroad, but somehow that didn't work out. I think it was UBS. uh, and then the consulting thing happened, so I got into the PwC management consulting. Not because I wanted it or I had any love for it, but because everybody wanted it, and it
Ah,
was
correct.
consulting
You
was
followed the
considered
herd
to
at
be.
that time. Okay,
Yeah, so
got it.
completely following the herd and nothing else. So then I landed in PwC management consulting.
Got it. Nice. And how long in PwC?
So I basically remained there for almost a decade.
Okay,
Yeah, so
okay.
huge 8 to 10 years. And in consulting, typically what happens is you have a very hectic schedule. You start Monday morning, you wake up at 3:30 because you will have to take a flight which is around 6 or something, because you want to reach office by 9 in that city where your client is there. And when you are coming back on Friday evening, then you want to finish your work, come back, and the last flights are always delayed.
Ah,
Last flight of
yes.
the day is
Yes,
always
yes,
delayed
yes,
because it
yes,
has a impact of all the flights in
yes.
the day. So you'll always reach 2 in the morning in Friday night by time you reach home. So I did it almost for 8 years. Generally, people give up in the first 2 years, but I somehow, so either you give up in 2 years or you stay there for longer term. So there are only two options. There's no middle
Muscle
option.
memory, right? Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes, yes.
So and I think, and I fell in love with consulting. I
Okay.
loved every moment of it. And the reason was that it gave me what I required, which was challenge and then satisfaction of solving the challenge again and again in different sets. So that
Got
way
it.
it's a very promiscuous relationship.
Hmm.
You go, you work in the industry, you work with a client, you work there like crazy for 6 months, and then you're gone. Then you get a new fresh problem. And the exciting part was that when you land at a client's place, so mine was implementation based.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
When you land at a client's place, everybody is hostile. For example, I was working with banks. So the CEO has given you a goal that you need to improve profitability, work on increasing revenue, work on reducing cost. He has said this. We have taken a hefty fee from the client, and he has said, okay, go. And the moment I reach at the client's place, now here is the sales head doubting that okay, you are going to find fault in my work. Servicing guy thinks okay, now you are going to teach me what I don't know, and I am here for 20 years, and you have zero
Exactly.
experience in banking.
Yes.
So they, first of all, they feel that you are going to see my watch and tell me my time. So that's a common perception. So they are extremely hostile, and they want to find fault in your thinking, in your process, and they are shocked that you are trying to learn the business from them, trying to
Exactly. And
gather
then tell
data
them
from
what
them,
not to do.
and then tell
What
them
not to
what
do.
not to do. And so they are extremely hostile, and they feel that you are going to demean them in front of their bosses.
Yes.
So from that stage to coming to that stage where they start feeling like no, he's on our side, he does not mean any disrespect, he's genuinely looking at what is good for the company, and let's listen to him, and then he becomes a part of the solution, and then you go out with, so that shift was very, very exciting, from hostility to friendliness.
Yes. Yes. So what was a bridge between the two? From hostility to look, friendliness. What was the
I think
bridge?
the bridge is that you constantly focus on the objective hardcore truths, and not take any hostility as a personal insult. You assume
Got it.
that they are not hostile towards you as a person, they are hostile towards you as a concept. And if you
Got
can
it.
convince them that the concept is not to demean them, but to genuinely basically make it better, and they
Yes.
realize it,
Yes.
one day comes, it may come after 1 month or 3 months or 6 months. But
Yes. Yes.
when you are
Yes.
consistently say that, no, I'm only interested in what is good for the organization, and my suggestions, my recommendations are not trying to undermine your authority. In fact, I will take many decisions which will increase it. And when you really start, when you do small pilot and you improve revenue, then the sales guy is also interested mildly now.
Yes.
Okay, what you
Yes.
are
Yes.
doing. And then many of the recommendations that he wanted to give and were not accepted, then he sees that, yeah, it can happen through you. So they also find a use for you.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. No, no, that's fascinating. I mean, so it's not their bias is not against you, but the concept really powerful. Yes. 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 So why did you quit?
I think I quit because I was with PwC, and then I realized that being a partner requires a lot of political skills also. You can't just be, and you, and the focus of sales becomes much more strong. I enjoyed the consulting part of it. I did enjoy some part of sales, but then it becomes more of sales and some bit of politics, and then I realized that that is not something which I am good at.
Yeah, I
So
can
I
see
did
that.
what
Yes.
every consultant does, which is to basically shift to industry. So I shifted to
Hmm.
ANZ Bank, which was the Australian New Zealand bank, based out of Prabhadevi in Bombay. Extremely comfortable bank, corporate bank as head of strategy. Not much work to do. Amazing office with fountain in the reception. And
Nice.
once you have worked in consulting, you work on fresh problems, tough problems, and which change very fast. And how long does it take to learn about a banking one bank strategy, right? A
Hmm.
few weeks, few months,
Nice.
and then you are bored. And then
Yes.
and then you realize that as a head of strategy, what you are doing is making, you're a glorious position for making presentation for all the Firangs. So all the Goras who are basically coming from Australia or Asia Pacific, you are basically making PPT for them, and actually you are
Uh,
a PPT maker.
uh.
No one is asking you for any strategy. Sales guy is doing sales, the ops guy is doing ops. You are not having any strategy.
And strategy is already decided at the board level.
Yeah. It's already decided. You are taking minutes of the meeting. You are a highly paid PPT maker.
Uh, uh,
So
uh.
you discover that very easily. But yes, that facade can continue for decades. So you can basically shift from one bank to another, from a Australian bank to a Japanese bank, and you can play head of strategy here and there. You can take a transfer to Hong Kong or Singapore, and you can keep on doing this stuff.
But that didn't excite you for too long.
No.
So what happened? So you said it's time to hang up my boots.
Yeah, so I think what happened was that I had an amazing boss, and his name was Venki, and he was a senior, same similar background, IIT, IM, and extremely affectionate, very loving, but very tough and very bright, and exactly what I would need as a boss. That you be fair, you be tough, but be very bright. And he was that, and I think the reason why I stayed for 2 years there was only because of him, because it was such fun just talking to him, working with him. And then he decided to move from ANZ Bombay to ONZ Bangalore, from the bank to GCC, and then it was a vacuum. And I used to basically treat him more like a father figure, and I used to basically ask him about my career very frankly, and he gave me, I'm sure, and he spoke about many things about over the years. But sometimes when somebody says something and the student is ready to listen, it just clicks. So he just said a very simple statement to me, which resonates with every science student. He said, "Let's see, you are in an orbit. You can you can run faster in this orbit. That's okay. But if you really want to change something, you need to take risk and change this orbit itself.
Mm.
Move to the next orbit, just like an electron. You need to change the orbit itself. Uh, and I think that really clicked to me that, yeah, without risk, without taking any risk and without being more exploratory, there will never be a change in the orbit. And second thing which he said was that no one has ever become wealthy by doing a job. No one. You need to either get ESOPs as a part of the job, which again means your shareholding, or you should have basically inheritance, or otherwise you build your own company. But investment, either you should have inheritance or you should have some part of the pie of the company. Otherwise, you can never be wealthy. You can only basically try to get little bit more increment here and there. So I think both of those things coincided, and but entrepreneurship was still not on the cards even till then. And I think what happened after that was that I decided that I'll just become extremely open. So
Got it.
instead of,
Okay.
till then I had decided, okay, I want a job in a bank, I want a job in consulting. For the first time, I realized that I don't know what is it, what is the next step. So there was a proper midlife crisis that my favorite boss is leaving, the job is very boring, the
And how
future
old
look.
were you at that time, if I may
I
ask?
think I was 35 years old.
Nice. Exact midlife.
Exact middle life crisis, and whatever future holds in terms of strategy jobs is not at all exciting. This is a dead end. I may get few increments here and there, but this is not where I want to go. So I don't know where to go. And when I don't remember, when I tried to find very specific jobs, I realized, so I said that I want to, what I want immediately, I want to lead, I want to be, say, head of sales in a bank. Now, when you go as a head of sales or head of operations for a bank, the bank guy says, hey, you are a very well paid executive. Now, instead of hiring you, who is okay, intelligent from good college, do you remember that in day three, the Britannia jobs, which you IM guys used to reject, the guy who took that day three job, over the past 10 years, he has led districts, states, nations for brands, and he has led large teams and delivered results. He's the guy whom I need because he
Exactly.
has led teams,
Exactly.
not you. Who are you? You are just a problem solver.
Uh,
So I realized that in real life, you don't need these independent, these contributor roles. Real lives is about, not about discovering problems and solving new problems, new industries. It's about taking one problem, just keep
yes.
on solving this problem again and again and
Yes.
again, and make it big. That
Yes.
is what is really rewarded.
Yes. Solving
So,
the same problem for more people.
for more people, and basically in a size which will really give profits to the organization that you're working for. And they said you are overqualified for, you are underqualified for that job, overqualified in terms of salary. so so I had suddenly, then looked at my other McKinsey friends, and I realized that they are in the same soup. And even till today, either you become a partner and then you lead even more hectic life. Yes, well paying, but not less hectic, because constant threat over your partnership. Or you basically go and join an industry like I did, and then keep on worrying about and figuring about what
Yes.
really,
What next?
who will
What
give you
next in
bhav.
life? Yes.
Yeah. So suddenly all the day zero jobs ended up in a soup after 10 years.
So, what was that one moment which made you choose entrepreneurship?
Yeah. So I think so. What I basically did after that was I started applying everywhere. So I started applying to KPO, which I would have never thought that I will apply to a knowledge process outsourcing companies. But I said I will apply anywhere. So I was indiscriminate. In fact, I ended up applying as a junior position to one of my batchmates in IM because I did not read the job description. I just basically kept on because I said let the world decide what is suited for
Hmm.
me, and I will have my basic salary criteria. But let the world decide what my credentials are worth, because suddenly I had this midlife crisis whether my credentials are worth what. So I said the only way out is to be extremely open. So from being very industry specific, I became extremely open. The benefit of that was that I got an interview call from Taxi for Sure.
Mm.
which was a competitor for Ola
Yes.
10 years
Yes.
back.
Yes.
And they were extremely good company, very good founders. In fact, many people feel that they were a more well-run company than Ola at that point of time. And the CEO was basically from my junior from IIM Ahmedabad. So when because I became so open, so I got the offer from interview offer from Taxi for Sure in Bangalore. I had no idea what this company is. I googled quickly, said yes to the interview, and went there. Because in my mind, I was so the crisis was so big, and I was so completely so
You just wanted
lost.
to escape.
Yeah, I said okay, I'll take anything because if anybody is giving me more salary than what I'm getting currently, the work must be decent. Otherwise, why will they give me salary increment? So I'll take anything. So let the world decide what my capabilities are worth in which industry. So I had some feeling that startup, and by that time the startup industry had started taking off, and I felt that if I don't dabble in it now, I will become too aged for anyone to consider me.
Mm.
Why will they
Mm.
consider a 35, 40-year-old guy
Mm.
instead of
Mm.
25-year-old guy?
Mm. Mm.
So I went there, I gave the interview. The interview went well. And then to the answer to your question about the pivotal moment. So I was giving the interview, and this is a normal office with the startup some buzz. And while he was taking so his founder is Raghu, and we are good friends now after so many years. And so there was a poster on his wall, like so many posters which are there in any startup office, which had a quote. And the quote was, "Not taking risk is the biggest risk in life."
Uh,
And that's a quote by Mark Zuckerberg. And it fully resonated with me. I said, absolutely. He's so bang on. And that also coincided with what Venki had said few months back. And I felt that here, this is my junior running such a good company. And when they offered me a job, it was not reporting to him. It was reporting to
mm.
someone who reported to him. I
Mm.
said, I'm 35-year-old. This is a 2-year-old company. And look,
Mm.
today I will be reporting to someone who reports to him. uh,
Uh,
and and this is all because he has taken risk.
Correct.
So that was basically extremely I
Uh,
would
uh,
say life changing moment.
and after that, you didn't take the job. You decided to walk out and
Yeah,
start on
so
your
then
own.
basically my friends had come up with the were toying with the no broker idea. And so when so I decided that it is better to be join them, be a part of no broker, rather than basically taking this job. So after getting the offer, I rejected it. Yeah.
And where is life now? And no broker is scaled up. It's become much. What I would. It's no more an idea. It's a large organization. And uh, what was your lowest point in entrepreneurship as you moved on?
I think, see, I would quickly cover it. I know we have taken a lot of time. I think the low points were mainly the first year, which was about figuring out as to how do we get funding, because the
Uh,
the no broker idea was a unique idea which was not done
right.
in any place in anywhere in the world. So investors kept on telling us, if it's such a good idea, why hasn't somebody done it?
Mm.
And why hasn't it been done in US? Why hasn't it been done in China? We had no answer to it. Perhaps Indian brokers don't require any license, don't require any examination. Everything is in cash. A pan wala can also become a broker. Perhaps this is the reason. Getting funding was extremely difficult also because housing.com got a mega
Yes.
funding at that
Yes.
point of time. So whomever we were talking to, everybody just vanished.
Yes.
So I think that was also basically pretty tough.
You spoke about Amit. We were at the difficulty which you had in trying to raise capital and, and trying to prove people that what has not been done can always be done. Right? When you were trying to convince investors, what was one lever which moved the needle for you to start the game?
So I think when it comes to the liver, when you talk about market size, you talk about idea, you talk about scalability, you talk about economics. For all of those things, depending upon which side you are, you can be either optimistic or you can be pessimistic. So I don't think any one of them worked. What worked was persistence, that you keep on saying, you keep on showing when the idea is so unproven. The only thing which investor is perhaps looking for is whether you are sure about it, whether you are going to chase it like
Uh,
crazy.
so your conviction in the game,
Yes. And I think,
right?
and that's also very humbling because I was in my mid 30s, worked for so many years, being an executive, and here it is an investment analyst, a 25-year-old guy from Bombay University, saying, "Yeah, ये कुछ नहीं काम करेगा, and this will not work." And he is the gatekeeper. If he says no, you are done.
Exactly, exactly. They say, right, the pujari is more important than the god.
And even today, you basically see this fresh graduate from some US university, Indian origin, speaking with accent and trying to tell you what how Indian real estate market works, and you have to listen to him.
Absolutely. No, no, absolutely.
So and it is very insulting many a times, because and there are many hoops, right? Investment analysis, analyst, then
Yes,
VP,
yes, yes,
then
yes.
partner, then investment committee meeting. Everybody will have their own questions and own basically dating pattern.
Yeah.
So
No,
I
no, no,
think
absolutely.
so hearing no, and when you are going and being an entrepreneur, you can understand it very well, but I'm just saying it for the audience, that when you are presenting your idea, the idea for which you have left your job and you are without any salary today, and you have built something and you have couple of employees from to whom you are paying from your own salary, your savings bank account, when you are presenting that idea for that 1 hour, you are putting all your heart out, all your passion, all your logic, and that guy is basically dozing.
It's another pitch for.
Or he is uninterested, or he's checking his phone, or he basically says that he's interested but then doesn't respond in the through the emails, or you are worrying in the late night checking your phone whether you have gotten a response. It's so stressful and so
Yes,
insulting and
yes,
humbling at the
absolutely.
same time.
Yes.
Whatever the world importance the world has given to you till now, all of that vanishes.
Oh,
And during
absolutely.
all those period, you are filled with self doubt, filled with anxiety, bouts of low confidence, bouts of self doubt whether this thing will work or not. Uh, and Your friends are also in two camps: one who are too nice to say anything, and second, the ones who are too worried about you and want you to quickly join a job back. And investors mainly have a job to say no. So you are not sure whether you are doubtful whether they are seeing the truth and you are chasing something which anyway does not hold any legs, or whether the customer is right. So this complete confusion, and there is, and I think in that period when you have so much of anxiety, stress, self doubt coupled with financial issues, the way out is to just stop talking to negative people. People with negative energy, don't talk to them. They may mean well, but just stop talking to them, because you can't handle it. You can't again handle that ball.
I can imagine that completely.
So I
So,
said
I
that.
mean, since you said this negative people, see, as you grow, right? I mean, I'm sure we all had humble upbringings. Now, the friends with whom you started, this is a question which I keep getting, where you've changed orbits in life. Many of your friends may not have changed orbits. How do you connect with those people as you evolve?
I think the people who are really your friends, they don't change a bit towards you. They will pull your leg in the same way. They will make your fun in the same way. They they are happy to see your success, but they don't give too much bhav to it, which is exactly what any entrepreneur would love to. So I would say today the friends that I most look forward to meeting and the people who I think I really call friends are those who don't care about it. They're happy with your
Exactly.
success. They're happy with your success, but that's one part of your life. So, okay, fine. It's
Correct.
just like you would have gotten some good job. So, they're happy about it. They're proud of what you are doing. But they're your friends. Tomorrow, if no broker becomes zero, you get nothing, they'll still be your friends. They'll be sad about
Uh,
it. Nothing will
yes.
change.
Get it. Get it. Get it. No, no. Lovely. Lovely. What next? What do you look for? What
So,
are your excitements in life going forward?
So today, so I must just quickly cover one incident in the no broker journey, which was that after we basically got funding after uh, bootstrapping for a year, we started our office in HSR layout in a basically small office. And instead of an office, in fact, what we did was to save money, we took a home. So it was a proper house, independent house with kitchen, everything, and it was a 1+2 floor house. We got 18 crores, which was 3 million at that exchange rate time. But there was such a scar of that 1 year not getting any funding that we became extremely frugal. uh, Anyway, doing a startup at that age was very bad because my wife, we were expecting our second kid. She wanted to take a
I can
sabbatical. She
imagine.
could not take that sabbatical because somebody had to earn. And after going all of that, we were so scared that we felt that we should value each penny that we get,
Uh,
that we have, and hence no top marketing, nothing. Extremely frugal. Three of us will travel to meet an investor. We will put one extra bed in the hotel room. All three of us, no two rooms. We want to save money. If there is little bit of heat in Bangalore, no AC, no water cooler will somehow
wow.
manage. So extremely frugal. And we were just basically trying to figure out how the product market fit works. And one day we basically saw some 50, 60 people standing outside the house. We thought it must be some political procession which is basically going on. And suddenly, couple of them came inside and they started beating our employees. And then it occurred to us that this is a bunch of brokers slash goons who
Got it.
have
You are eating into
whose
their livelihood.
yeah, whose main objective, they were pissed off because couple of clients said that let me first check on no broker, then I will talk to you. So that irritated them. I think we had put some ad in Kormangla because of that. And they started beating our employees. Their object, because they don't have a concept of a cloud. So they thought that if they destroy the computers, if they basically break stuff, the company will shut down. So in their mind,
Got
that
it.
was the
Got it.
objective. And we were these muggus, nerd guys who have no idea how the real world works, whose phone book has no phone number of any politician, any police officer, and who don't know how to handle the situation.
Mm,
So
mm.
completely ill-equipped to handle a situation. Uh, we just called police from the normal phone number. Police came, took us founders in the jeep, left all the brokers there, who continued to basically create chaos. And then we realized how the local police would be more sympathetic towards local brokers than these some nerd guys doing something here. And and even thankfully we had an iron grill door because of which they could not enter inside the office. Females started crying and everybody became in panic. uh, uh, Somehow we were able to
Eh,
save the day because
No, I
of that
can
iron
imagine
grill
when
door.
you said you don't give the address.
Yeah. so so even today we basically hide our address from brokers. So today if you search for no broker address, there are multiple addresses and all of them are basically fake. Even
Okay.
today if you come to no broker, we don't have any facade which says no broker. Only when you come inside the reception you will say no broker, but outside in the building there's no facade which says no broker. So we remain
Wow.
very cautious. The brokers basically kept on chasing the female employees late at night. They damaged many of the bikes which are parked outside. They sent a municipality guy saying that you are running a startup in a residential area, which is illegal. I said, the Swiggy guys are running in another building. And we were so stupid that we did not have the basic intelligence to ask that, okay, he threatened us that he will lock the entire office within 2 hours unless we take everything out and leave the building.
Mm.
We did not have the basic sense to say that, hey, you can't do this, you have to give us some written notice, and we will, and surely we should have some time to respond. No idea, just left the office, disrupted the operations, figured out a future office. All of this thing happened, and I think then then again basically no broker picked up from there. Today it has been 10 years running no broker. We are now 6,000 people strong. We have
Wow.
some 3 crore customers till now, which is basically 30
Nice.
million. We add 60 lakhs, 6 million new customers every year. We
Beautiful.
have a revenue of 1,000 crore. We are number one in real estate in India, and we are number one in packers and movers, number one in home loans, number one in painting. We do home interiors, we do legal documentation. We have a no brokerhood vertical. So now let lots of verticals, lots doing lots of things. Still, we are only 10 percentage of the market size. Rest 90% still with brokers. Yeah.
No, fascinating, fascinating story. I think I would say more than no broker, your personal story is even more fascinating.
No, thank you.
And I mean, if I were to just summarize our conversation in terms of what were the key reflections, one was about in your sixth standard when you changed your arena and how you had to face the first shock from moving into a tier 2 city to an ICSE syllabus, how you had to come through that full journey, your realization in IIT that I need to uh, accept the rules, understand the rules, and not fight the rules. That was very, very powerful because I think in most cases, and then we realized when you shared you were fighting not the rules but your own belief systems, where our past conditioning is what you were fighting around. Collaborating with people and not competing uh, uh, with people. Take risk and change your orbits, right? Consistently changing your orbits. And what people look for you is your own persistence and conviction in the game. I mean, it's fascinating, fascinating, Amit. I think.
No, I think I have given tens and fifties of interview till now, but I think this was the most interesting out of all. The way in which I think many of the things which you have summarized, I had never thought about them
Thank you.
from the cause and effect perspective. So I think it was like a mini therapy from your side. I thoroughly
Uh,
enjoyed it. Very, very professional.
Likewise, likewise. And I mean, hope to if you are in the US, would love to catch up. I have a shuttle between New York and Greenwich. If I'm in India, definitely we should
Sure,
will reach
of
out.
course.
Anyway, let's be in touch.